kids having these heart attacks at brain tumors at a young age, yes, and strokes. So what I'm saying is times have changed. Uh, okay, I know those of you who are in the medical field will have to correct me, but the hypocritical oath is do no harm, but they're actually doing harm because no longer do the doctors learn how to heal and keep people. Pharmaceutical writes all their medical books. And so when they write all the medical books, they're telling the doctors what to use for different diseases. And if this doesn't work, then you use this or you use that. But they're having you use chemicals. Back in the day, we used to use natural foods to heal sicknesses. Okay? Nowadays, we're using chemicals and more drugs. To prove it, remember, well, maybe you don't remember. Maybe somebody here will remember. Remember when, if you went to a hospital, you had windows that opened. You had fresh air that came in. Nowadays, I don't think there's one hospital that has an open window. The windows are, and you're breathing in recycled air. Uh, Guess what? Wade Hall is starting to get like that. Okay, we're going to start now. What? I didn't do it. Is that yours? That's not our plant. Maybe I'm blocking. Oh, okay. So, it's like it's being overridden. Well, while we're waiting, Nebuchadnezzar was the one I was talking about in the Bible, right? You all agree. The Bible says he ate grass for 7 years. He was strong as an ox when he got done. He had all that chlorophyll. And I just recently found out that the grass filters the air as well as the trees. So the closer we are, the better off we are if we're eating grass and stuff like that. It's helping us. Okay.
Tell you how, is it on? Testing. Oh yeah. How we would share with you some excerpts on what Sister White did say about herbs. She definitely used it. And we have the quotations as well as the source. But one of my favorite verses in the Bible.
Speak a little louder.
Oh, really? It is on. But okay, speak. Write it. Oh, can you hear me now? Okay. So one of my favorite verses, Proverbs 15:17. Better is a dinner of herbs where love is than a stalled ox and hatred therewith. And by the way, if those who didn't possibly, that's a rose, and you can eat the rose petals. Okay, here we go.
You can eat all roses.
They're very high in vitamin C. Ouch. Okay, Genesis 30:31 through 42. That's just a text that goes with it, but here's the quote. The use of certain herbs that the Lord has made to grow for the good of man is in harmony with the exercise of faith. This is manuscript 31, 1911, written June 3rd, 1888. So we have heard people say that all we have to do is have faith, not just in the church, but the world in many cases. Oh, you don't have to do anything. It says here, in harmony. So you use the herbs and you have faith. Your faith is in God and his ability to make the herbs do whatever he says. He's the one that gives us the power. He's the one, it's not just the herb by itself. God has put the power, the minerals, the vitamins in these herbs. Okay. Number 2, God has caused to grow out of the ground herbs for the use of man. And if we understand the nature of these roots and herbs, make a right use of them, there would not be a necessity of running for the doctor so frequently. Letter 35, February 1890. Letter 35, February 1890. And the next one, the Lord has given some simple herbs of the field that are at times beneficial. And if every family were educated in how to use these herbs, much suffering might be prevented. These old-fashioned simple herbs used intelligently would have recovered many sick who have died under drug medication. 1897, letter 82. Hops. Hop tea will induce sleep. Hop poultices over the stomach will relieve pain. Light was given that there is health in the fragrance of the pine, the cedar, and the fir. And there are several other kinds of trees that have medicinal properties that are health promoting. F-I-R. Pine, cedar, and the fir. This is, go ahead.
Have you ever walked in a pine forest? Or been near a pine tree? Have you taken a deep breath? How'd you feel? It gives you a freshness because it's cleaning up your airway. Okay, I realize everybody's not as old as you guys are. Anyway, back in the day, pine oil was very important. It cleaned up everything.
They called it pine sol.
They called pine sol,
yeah.
right? The original pine sol, not the chemical. You know, they've learned how to replace certain smells with chemicals that smells like, but it has nothing to do. Anybody here like what's it? Sassafras. What's sassafras? Anybody likes root beer? Root beer soda.
You don't like root beer? How is that possible? More for you, huh? You don't either?
You don't like root beer?
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, boy. Okay, root beer was taken from a recipe of sassafras.
The root of the sassafras
tree. The
tree.
root of the sassafras tree was your original root beer. Okay, not only was it good to taste, or it was used for a spring tonic to clean you out from worms and stuff like that, this stuff was, well, should I say?
It is now, yeah. The original root beer was literally made from sassafras root. It didn't have all the stuff, it had sweetener, but it didn't have the stuff that they put in it now, the chemicals and stuff. And it tastes pretty much like root beer.
Okay. Another thing that sassafras tree would do, or root.
Oh, okay. Oh.
The root of a sassafras tree, if you put it in poison water or bad water it would clean it up. So that thing about the children of Israel, when they had just crossed the Red Sea and they'd been traveling a little bit, and they were thirsty, and they got to, was it Mount Moriah? And the water was bitter, and they were complaining. God says, let me prove you this day. And he told Moses to take a particular tree. We don't know if it was sassafras, but he threw that tree into the water, and it cleaned it up. Well, guess what? Sassafras will do the same thing. It'll sweeten up the water. It would take bitter water, and it'll taste sweeter. It'll take poison water, and it cleans it up.
And it does the same thing to your blood. When you drink it, it helps clean your blood up. It was also used for, what's that disease way back when? Sassafras was used for a very common disease years ago. Don't say it? Yeah.
I know.
Okay.
I mean, I'll say it. Okay, sassafras was used
You got
for...
a hand.
Oh, yes?
They're trees.
All over.
Yeah, we're going to, I don't know if we, 2 S's, Sassafras. Sassa, yeah.
It's found all over.
Yeah, it really
Alabama,
does. It grows everywhere.
Tennessee. It grows everywhere.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
Once you smell it,
Yeah. What was that? The blood.
the blood.
The root. It's
The
the
root.
root of the tree. Yeah. Root, yeah.
People from Louisiana would take the leaves, and it would be the main ingredients for the gumbo.
Yeah. Let me finish
Okay,
this.
good.
Okay, the next one. All right, our Savior is the restorer. He has supplied in the natural world remedies for the ills of man. The Lord has provided antidotes for disease in simple plants, and these can be used by faith with no denial of faith, for by using the blessings provided by God for our benefit, we are cooperating with Him. I got some silly message on my thing, so I'm going to move it off. That's not that. Okay. All right, next. When the Lord told, remember Hezekiah? What was Hezekiah's problem? Anybody remember? Foot, yes. When the Lord told Hezekiah that he would spare his life for 15 years, why did he not put his direct restoring power upon the king? But instead, he told him to apply a bunch of figs to his sore, and that natural remedy, blessed by God, healed him. The God of nature directs the human agent to use natural remedies. And by the way, I did a little bit, not even deep, research on the leaves of fig trees and found out they're excellent for diabetic problems. So we don't know if that's what King Hezekiah had, but we know his foot. He had problems with his feet. The true method for healing the sick is to tell them of the herbs that grow for the benefit of man. What we're doing to y'all today? There are simple herbs that can be used for the recovery of the sick, whose effect upon the system is very different from that of those drugs which poison the blood and endanger life. These are all quotes from her. There are herbs which are harmless, the use of which will tide over many apparently serious difficulty. This is God's method. The herbs that grow for the benefit of man and the little handful of herbs capped and steeped and used for certain ailments have served better than all drugs. Got 2 more. There are simple herbs and roots that every family may use for themselves. When the head is congested, a headache, if the feet and limbs are put in a bath with a little mustard, relief will be obtained. And the last one, the Lord will be the helper of every physician who will work with him in the effort to restore suffering humanity to health, not with drugs, but with nature's remedies. Christ, the great physician, the wonderful healer, he gives success to those who work in partnership with him.
Yes.
The rosebuds, they call them rose hips. If you go to like Walgreens or any, little drugstore, if you're looking for vitamin C, you'll sometimes see a little bottle, it'll say vitamin C with rose hips. Rose hips are simply, and I think we'll come up with it on our next one, it's simply the seed pod of the roses. And every rose bush has it, whether they're cultivated or wild. And they come usually, what is this, September? Late September, October, when the flowers are dead. And it starts out green, then it turns either red or orange. And usually after the first freeze, and they're actually delicious. I've tried them. They kind of reminded me of citrus, like you're eating a sweet citrus fruit.
They magnify the vitamin C. A handful of rose hips has more vitamin C than
60,
oranges.
60.
60 oranges.
Yes.
We can't stomach 60 oranges, but a handful of rose hips would magnify. Utilize them.
Okay.
After that first freeze, start grabbing the rose hips.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Trying to pull this up.
all right. I was trying to get to Nebuchadnezzar,
Mm-hmm.
and we said 7 years. He was strong. He was not weak, just eating grass. But guess what? Grass. How many people ever ate grass in their lives? What grass have you eaten? Okay, but guess what? Everybody in here has been eating grass all their life. What's bread? Wheat? What's corn? What's rice? So you see, you've been eating grass for a long time. We used to have people look at us like we were crazy. I ain't ate no grass. I said, you like your rice? Oh. What? I ain't ate. You like your bread? Okay. So, you like your wheat. Wheat grass makes. They call it something else so that they can get your money.
Okay, I'm ready for the next
Okay.
one. Okay, we're going to show you plants now that you have probably seen, and if you haven't, start looking so that you can identify some of these are common wild edibles. What we have here just on the front page, the first and the last, not the middle, but the first and the last is one of the best wild edibles out there, and that's called bloodroot. It's medicinal. You can eat the flowers, but the leaves, the root of this plant actually is a cancer cure, literally. And it's been known for hundreds and hundreds of years. However, in the last recent years, when I say recent, the last 100 or so, they have hidden this information. But if you dig a little, you will find it. And we just don't have the time to go into all of that right now. We may be able to bring it and talk about it tomorrow when we demonstrate some things. But the middle one is, anybody familiar with the middle flowers? Huh? No. I can see it could look like it, probably because you're far away. That's red, no, actually crimson clover. That's a clover. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Crimson clover is one of the best clover family that will put nitrogen back in the soil. Most people who deal with construction, like they'll come and they'll look over your land. You want to sell it to you, they want to buy it from you, and they'll look at your soil and the soil content. You have a little bit of grass, a lot of fallen stuff, and they don't want to pay top dollar. So they finally persuade you to sell them your plot of land. And you do that. And you said, well, the soil was bad. It wasn't much. I couldn't have really got too much for it. And the next time you see those people who brought your land, they seed your property with crimson clover. And when it comes up, you see all these little red plants. And the next year, you look at your plot of land that you sow, it has a rich, rich soil of grass and plants like that, because the nitrogen was put back into the soil naturally. So, and now that's just the soil content. The plant itself, Sister White cured herself using red clover. Some people are looking at that pink clover, claiming is red.
That's the one they
Crimson
tell you.
is red.
Crimson
right?
is the more medicinal.
Yeah.
This one here.
The other stuff, it's strong, but
Not as
it's not
strong
as
as
strong
crimson.
as the crimson. And sometimes they change the name to throw you off. But if you use the crimson clover, it's sweet in taste, and it'll help strengthen the body.
Okay. All right, we're going to go into a few of the rules of eating wild edibles as well as some of the reasons. We're not going to go one by one, but just generally, okay? So what we're going to do, because when you learn about edible plants, you need to learn when to harvest them, what parts of the plant are edible, because we can show you a plant and sometimes the whole plant is edible, like a dandelion. You can eat every part of a dandelion. You can eat every part of clover. But there are some plants you only want to eat the leaves, others only the flower, others only the stem or the root. So we're going to go through a few of that. Plus, remember, this food is free. And it's not just cheap food. All of the wild plants we're going to show you are higher in vitamins and minerals than anything you can get in the store. Anything. And hopefully, once you learn about this, you'll stop putting poison on the dandelions or digging them up or whatever you do. And you'll take better care of the environment. And with all of that said, give God glory for giving us all of this wonderful free food. I'm going to say free several times. And of course, we know the world is talking about going green, you know, using things more natural. Eating is at the root of survival. That's everybody has to eat. Not one person alive can survive without eating. So we're talking about coming to a point where we're not going to be able to go in the stores and buy. You can garden with these wild plants, and it's nothing like a regular garden. Once you get a wild plant started, it just takes over, and each year it comes back without you doing a thing. Once it takes, it just comes back bigger, wider, and the only thing you would have to just make sure you have room for it. Also, you'll learn how to harvest, when to harvest them, how to prepare them, and how to preserve it. And finally, you'll also discover there are other uses for a lot of these plants, like the yucca plant. It has edible flowers, but the root of the yucca, which I'm sure most of you have seen, can be used for soap. So the plants are edible. They can be used for soap, for cleaning, things like that. And these things that we're going to share with you, this isn't anything new. These things have been used for thousands of years, literally thousands of years. So the first thing we want to do is move on. Okay, there we go. The flower faded, but the word of our God shall stand forever. So here's a few rules. We already talked about the first one from the text we used this morning with the men that were with Elijah and ate that wild plant that they thought they were going to die. So the first thing you have to do when you're learning about wild edibles is make sure you know what part of that plant is edible. The second is when to harvest it. The third is never collect wild plants on the side of a road. Why? Because of the emissions, from the car, of a busy road. Number 5, if you're getting plants from water, make sure it's clean water. And then there are poisonous lookalikes. You want to make sure the plant you're looking at doesn't have a poisonous lookalike. The only one I can think of offhand would be Queen Anne's lace. Poison hemlock looks a lot like that. So learn the differences. Get some good books with photographs. Drawings sometimes are okay, but most drawings are not as good as a photograph. Also, study how plants were used in the Bible. In the Bible, those same plants that you use in the Bible, they can be used today. They still have the potency that God put in them. And if you're harvesting plants, don't take all the plants in the area. The general rule is to take a third, just 1/3 of the wild edibles, and then learn the basic wild edibility rule, and we'll tell you that a little later. So now let's look at some plants that I know you have seen. Has everybody seen this one? Does everybody have this one? Dandelion. Dandelions. This is the one that I just said all parts of it are edible. The flowers, the leaves, the stem, and every plant that we talk about that's edible is medicinal, just by the nature of that's what God put in them, medicine and food. So the dandelion, the leaves, the roots have been used traditionally, it means for years and years, for medicine and food, and they're especially known as a good stimulant for the liver. The flowers are great in salads. The leaves are used as a pot herb. A pot herb is just a plant you put in water and cook it like greens. That's what a pot herb means. And the root of this plant, I say root, some say root. It's just where I come from, I guess. But anyway, same word. The root of the dandelion has been used as a coffee substitute for years. So now, instead of just poisoning, cutting down your dandelions, it's food. There's even recipes online using the flowers. They call it a dandelion entree. They give you the recipe. You can find it easily. Anybody seen this? Now, you're not going to see the flowers right now because they're usually out in the spring, but the leaves are still on. This is the violet, the common purple violet. Again, this entire plant can be used for food. The leaves are very, very high in vitamin C. If you just have a handful, like 5 or 6, that'll give you all the vitamin C you need for the day. And people have used the leaves. You can see them on the side. They're kind of heart-shaped. They use it in place of lettuce in their salads and or sandwiches. And this is another very prolific grower, and it's very good for infections. In the grass, generally they're going to grow along with grass, and they grow very low to the ground, sun or shade.
All violets are edible. African violets.
Hold up. Is it possible to get some water? You got any water hanging around somewhere? Thank you. Okay.
All violets are edible. And when it gets to that point, we're going over her house, or we're going to invite her to our house, and she's going to hook us up with some violet stew or something like that. I'm talking about the chef over there. Yes. Well, see, you're the type of person that will put dishes together with whatever you got and make it taste good.
They have recipes online. What's your name? Tiffany. They have recipes online. I haven't tried it yet, but see that purple flower? They use that. Thank you. They use that a lot for decorating cakes and candies. You seen them? Yeah, I haven't. Oh, yeah, just right here.
And Sister Marshawn is going to bring the cornbread. I'm just keeping it.
Yeah. Yeah, they sugar the violets, and they're so pretty. And they keep their shape for a while, too. So, yeah. Okay, and very common. When it says common, that means you'll see it almost everywhere. It's out now. It's just that they don't have the flowers on them. Oops. Okay, we just talked about the crimson clover. To the left is what they call the red clover, though as you see, it's not red.
Yes.
No, not really. You talking about the leaves? They're pretty big. They're about like that. The flowers? Yeah, they can use it in salads, but they generally use it as a decoration for cakes and things. We just talked about the clover, so we're going to move on to the next one. All parts of the clover are edible. And here's Queen Anne's lace. Y'all seen this anywhere? With the little black. Sometimes it's black, sometimes it's red. But Or purplish, yeah. This actually, the Queen Anne's lace is actually the original carrot.
Oh, for just in case you're not sure, what we're talking about is there's a little part of the flower that has like a purplish.
They can see it up
Color.
there, that little black dot.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Go ahead and tell them about the
black dot starts growing.
that some of them have that dot and some of them don't.
yeah.
Okay, so tell me about the original carrot.
The Queen Anne's lace is the original carrot. The original carrot was off-white, black, brown, purple,
Green.
green. It was not orange.
Now they're calling them rainbow carrots.
They hijacked the information. But originally, folk coming here to this country, they would find the original carrot. It was the Dutch people that cultivated an orange carrot. And then now they're trying to say that the original carrot is an exotic carrot.
No, the colorful ones, they're saying those are exotic.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah, the black, the brown.
Yeah. Okay, so this is actually the original carrot, and it does, if you pull the root out of the ground, it actually smells like a carrot. It looks like a carrot. The only difference is it's not orange. It's kind of an off-white. So there was a book called the Carrot Museum, this thick. I actually have the book at home. I downloaded it years ago when I found the information. I don't know if it's still online or not.
Now, the original carrot, it would grow big. Okay, thinking of carrots in Africa, the carrot was big enough that you could actually carve a seat in it. It was tall and broad, and there was some big carrots.
Okay. Oops.
What good is celery?
That's not. Oops. That's not really a wild plant, but it is very good for you. The watch out.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, come on. The celery is very good for you, yes. Okay, we talked about the hips, the roses, then the rose hips. What you see on the left, that's what they look like when they're ripe. When you lose the flowers, first it is green, and then as time goes on, usually about October, November, those green little fruit turn red like this. And it's best to eat them after you have a nice freeze, yeah, because it does something chemically to them. And they're actually sweet. They're actually very sweet. But remember, the rose petals, the rose hips are edible and delicious. Now, remember this, this morning we talked about mullein. Has anybody seen this growing anywhere? Yes, you've seen it? Yes, it's everywhere. That's mullein. Oh, yes, good for cold, any kind of respiratory issues, mullein, and that's the leaf of the mullein. You see to the left, you may not see it too good, but they can grow up to 6 to 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
Yes.
The first year,
It might.
They're flat to the ground. The second year, the stem grows. And when the stem grows, the flowers come on it, and the flowers grow in a spiral.
During COVID, this would, and if any new flu, anything going on with the respiratory system comes, this is an excellent herb used for that. Just making a simple tea. This is the one I said I use for our son's asthma, and it is not bitter. The only downside might be some people say it's kind of hairy. As you see, the leaves are hairy. Yeah, so, yeah. Just some people it bothers, some it doesn't. But it's excellent for any type of respiratory lung issues that you have.
For young people or for kids who have ear infections a lot, you can take the flowers, pick them off each day. Matter of fact, every time you pick off a flower, the next day, another flower grows back, or the little flowers. You take the flowers, you put them in a bowl, and you put them in olive oil?
Olive oil. Yeah.
Olive oil, let them sit for a couple of weeks, and after about 30 days, you can insert it in the ears and it'll open it up and clean it up.
All right. Now, Thomas, I think you talked about this one this morning. Plantain?
Plantain, yes. That's the plantain. That's the broadleaf plantain.
Exactly.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. Now, I've cooked the leaves of the broadleaf, because I like them because they're bigger, but they taste like collard greens. They really do.
The lady I was talking about, who started her own health food store, where she lived at, there was more plantain than grass. And what her daughter had was eczema. And when she came to us, she asked us about what she could use, and we told her what to use for her daughter's eczema. And she said she had it since she was for 9 years, from birth to about 9. And that when she followed the instructions in taking the leaves and making a tea out of it, after chopping it up, making a tea, adding a little olive oil, and she painted all of the affected area on her skin that night. And that morning, she said her daughter looked at herself in the mirror, screamed and hollered, and the mama came running, and she couldn't believe her daughter had brand new skin. It stopped it.
This is the broadleaf plantain, and it typically is only out during the late spring, well, actually kind of early spring and summer. In the fall of the year, this is the one you'll see, the narrow leaf plantain. So they don't even grow at the same time. You may see a few of these, but as a general rule, you're going to see this in the fall and winter and the broadleaf in the spring and summer.
And they
But
all do the same thing.
yes, they do. They all do the same thing. And both, remember, they're also excellent as greens. Sorry. That's a seed pod. What? Oh. Well, that's actually medicine too. That's compatible to psyllium. Okay? So you play it with them and mm-hmm. All right. Now, if you come tomorrow, you will taste this sumac. This is the sumac that's edible. There is a poisonous sumac, but the berries are white. And they're not in this area. They do not grow here, so you don't have to worry about it. Yes? Like who? Do what?
Okay. Do like some people. They look at somebody's kid. Go get me that. Get that over there. Or somebody's husband. Go deep into the woods and get that right there.
You'll find somebody that'll get it for you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Yeah,
delicious. You'll get to taste it tomorrow.
Yes.
If you're here tomorrow, we will bring some of that for you to taste. I made a, I don't know how many of you are familiar with, what was it, strawberry mojito?
Mojito.
Virgin. Okay, just want to add that note. I made it with the sumac. It was just as good. And mojito means 5, so it has only 5 ingredients in it. This is actually wild lemonade. Sumac is another name for it, is wild lemonade, because it tastes like lemons. Yes. Celestine, yes, yes. Mm-hmm. No. We said that quick, didn't we? No. And we don't teach people to eat bugs. 24/7. I've seen it.
73, yes.
Really? Thanks for letting me know.
Shouldn't have said that. Now she's gonna have me collecting. Oh.
Uh-huh. Thank you very much. Sumac is very high in vitamin C. So it not only does it taste good, but it's also high in vitamin C. They use it medicinally for many health problems, internal bleeding, bedwetting, just to name a few. Anything you got going on, any emissions internally, it will dry it up. And that's just the berries. So that what you see to the left is the berries before they are ripe. Those are the flowers. They're green. Then it turns into the red color, and that's when you want to eat them. Yeah, you could do that. Milkweed.
You and your smoothies.
Yes. Yes. Milkweed. You see the 4 different sections. This is one plant here, and this is just a picture showing you all the different parts of it. That's the broccoli, lower left. To the right of the broccoli, that's the different types of parts of the plant. Is the seed pod. Above the seed pod is the flower, which makes a very exotic, delicious drink. So all parts of the milkweed are edible. They're out right now, and they're in the seed pod stage. The flowers are gone. The broccoli is gone. It's now in the seed pod stage, and all parts of it, those different 4 pictures there, are also edible. So this is a very survival food, more or less.
So those of you who like to cook, you would have fun with this, because when it's at a seed pod, before the seeds are really developed, if you take them and take the pod apart, take the seeds out, the seeds look like fish, scales. My wife would put it in a batter and
Fry it.
just like it was, and then serve it. People who like fish, they love that.
Mm-hmm.
It tastes like we didn't put any fish taste or anything.
Other than the cornmeal and stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm. About like this. About
Well,
this. Yeah, about
however
3 inches.
big this, you get it.
Yeah. I don't see them a whole lot. I see them along the side of the road more. When we were rangers, they were there all over the land.
Tell me about the, go back. The flowers.
I did. Go ahead.
My wife made a drink out of the flowers.
Exotic drink. It was so good.
Non-alcoholic. Huh?
We were rangers for 15 years in virgin wilderness. Y'all, you knew that.
And that's what we did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
We literally are. This is our passion. I'm looking for it. That's the difference. I am looking. I am in there to find it, to find something new. And you probably got lots of wild food, too. Yeah.
You probably have more food than you think.
Mm-hmm. Lot more. Okay. Yucca. I went backwards. Yucca. Have y'all heard of the yucca plant? That's a different plant. It's totally different. Yeah, I thought they were the same at one time. Yeah, it's totally different. And the flowers, you see the flowers? That's what you eat, those little white flowers. And to me, they pretty much taste like cucumbers. That's the best I would describe. You can either eat them in a salad or you can stir fry them. I wouldn't do a hard cook with them. I would stir fry them. But you see these are used, yucca plants are used for landscaping a lot here in Tennessee, Alabama. And people, you'll see the flowers usually late spring, early summer, and people don't have any idea. They're just beautiful on the plant. I go and take them off when I can. Not in your yard, of course.
Unless you give us permission.
But they're good. They're delicious and nutritious. And this is daylily. These are also edible. The flowers, I've used those in salads, or you can stir fry them. This is the daylily. The flowers, the stems are nutritious and delicious. And they say this is an escaped plant because it used to be, domesticated. But somehow
Okay.
it escaped, they said.
I don't care what folks say. There is no plants that's strictly to any particular area, even though you may see them growing up. But remember, birds eat seed and birds drop, and they disperse it around the world. The same with butterflies, birds, deers.
Even we on our feet.
Yeah.
We step
And
on
remember,
seeds.
if you look back in the Bible, you'll see that Solomon would have flower gardens. Nebuchadnezzar had a hanging garden. They would go around the world
Yep.
and have plants and brought in, and they would do the same condition that they found it in and grow it.
Okay, we discovered this is what we call amaranth, but in the islands they call them callaloo. You've heard of callaloo? Yeah, my cousin who is from Jamaica, I forget which part, Monterey? Is there a Monterey Bay in Jamaica? Anyway, she's from Jamaica. When she saw this, she's like, that's callaloo. And I've had a lot of people say it grows wild. People don't have to plant this here. And you see how it grows. It just kind of takes over an area. And this is a pot herb. This is something you would want to cook in a pot. You don't want to eat it raw. But it pretty much, is growing this time of year because I had a huge plant that I had to take down. But the leaves, the stems are edible, and they just take over an area, which is not bad. Very highly nutritious plant. Elderberry. Anybody seen elderberry growing anywhere? You hear about it. You pay money for it, big money for it. And this is what helps with flus, especially with flus and colds and any kind of sinus problem. The elderberry. And you simmer it for about 45 minutes.
Did you say that?
You don't have to warm it up. If you want to eat it, drink it, cold. Oh, yeah, it's okay to warm it up. You don't need to boil it again. Just warm it up.
Did you say throw? Did you say throw the elderberry in the water?
The flowers can also be used in salads or make a lemonade out of those white flowers there.
You're a little rough with your plants. You place it in the water.
That's probably why they don't like you. They say, she's too rough. Okay, so elderberry is something, it also is growing wild. They're ripe when they're purple, like the last picture on the bottom. That's when they're ripe. You'll see the flowers first, then you'll see those green berries up there. Then when they get purple like that, that's when you want to harvest them. And right, exactly. Yeah.
Your
Exactly.
grandma knew about it.
Mm-hmm.
Your great grandma knew about it.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. A lot of times, a lot of our people grew up in the woods or on farms, and they utilized what they had around them because they knew what it was. But these generations, you grow up and you go into the store. No, I'm not going in there. I don't know what that is, and we don't recognize it. It was done by design. The FDA will demonize 10 plants every 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
Hollywood-
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I
You
mean,
must look at the same movies.
look, I be looking at some beautiful plants, and they kind of look exotic. My husband be like, no. And I'm like, what's wrong? He's seen a movie, too. He said the plants were monsters in the movie. I'm like, I was not allowed to see those movies, so.
Okay, wait a minute. We were walking through one set of woods, and she saw a plant. It was a flower that looked like a tongue. It was like, what? Dragon?
Dragon something, probably dragon arum.
Tongue something. I looked at her and said, oh, no, I ain't going in there. Nope. I know what happens when you go in there. You don't come out. And
You're
said,
right. Hollywood has done that.
I mean, no, it looked like a strange flower. Like it's saying, you come in here, you ain't going back.
That is the value of not watching them things when you're little. I don't have those images in my head, thankfully, because we couldn't watch them. But yeah, he'd be telling me that about different plants. I'm like, where'd you get that from? TV? Oh, okay. But you know what I didn't know, which helped me also understand things. Again, thankfully, Lord, I was not allowed to watch things like Freddy Krueger, and what's the other one? Jason. I didn't know. I had heard of them, but I didn't know till just maybe about 10 or 12 years ago, all the stuff that happened to them was in the woods. And I'm like, no wonder kids are scared of going in the woods. Every time something horrible would happen in those Freddy movies or the Jason movies, it was in the woods. And I'm like, so yeah, the media is setting up our children.
It's safer in the woods than it is
Yes,
in concrete jungle.
definitely, definitely. But if they've been watching that stuff, they ain't going to believe that. We ain't going in there. Okay. Sheep sorrel. These have succulent little leaves. These are very small plants. They grow in the grass, as you can see here. So you have to really know what you're looking for. But they're excellent as a as a trail nibble. A trail nibble means a plant that you can literally, while you're walking the trail, just pick it up and eat it. You don't have to cook it or anything. It's 4 weekends, on weekends only. But it's 4 times a year. It's a 4-phase program. Well, at first you can take anything you want. Oh, we used to average 40, 50 people. But during, Y2K, we had 130. Scared to death people. And when it didn't go off the way, it dwindled down to...
When you have 130 plus people, it's not always good because they're scared out their mind, and anything can set them off, and they can go the other way. So all I'm saying is, if you got a large group like that, make sure you have an exit.
Exit, Thomas.
Oh, I mean, you know.
We don't leave people in the wilderness.
Okay,
thank you, guys. Thank you for coming. All right.
Bye-bye.
Okay. This is the one we were talking about this morning briefly with Brother Lewis Williams, ginkgo. This is the ginkgo tree. You see the leaves there?
Don't have flashbacks.
And the fruit is on the left, where we will have the fruit tomorrow for you to take some as well as taste some. We'll show you how to cook it. The fruit is actually more potent than the leaves. If you eat about 10 or 12 of the fruit, your mind will open up like never before. Bingy, almost like a bing. It doesn't smell very good, but...
Wait. She's talking about the fruity part.
That's what I'm talking about. It tastes kind of bingy, kind of. It just, you'll have to taste it. It just has a really different taste. Delicious, though.
If you can get past the smell.
We're going to help you get past the smell.
but there has been a lot of people who could not stand the smell. So they went on and they popped it in their mouth and they started to chew. As they started to chew, all of a sudden they started to tell us, oh, this ain't bad. So, okay. I'll wait for the seed part of the fruit. Now,
Okay.
the seed part of the fruit is more beany.
Yeah.
Once you pop it out of the shell, it has it's a real nice taste. Huh?
No, you eat the fruit inside the
The fruit
seed.
inside the seed.
Yeah, the fruit inside the seed. We'll show you how to cook it and everything tomorrow. Lamb's quarters. Another name for this particular plant is wild spinach because it does have a spinach-like taste. It can be eaten and needs to be eaten as a pot herb unless you get it when it's very, very young. And each plant can have over 70,000 seeds. Yeah, 70000, because that is used as a cereal. You cook it like you would quinoa? Yeah. So this is a very, very nutritious plant, very high in many vitamins and minerals, but it does have a spinach-like taste. And it doesn't require, just like spinach, you don't cook it long. You know, you could actually stir-fry it and probably get a better result. Anybody seen these thistles out there? Been thistled by them? See the thorny? Okay, if you get this plant...
You didn't hit anybody, did you?
If you can...
Just asking.
If you can get this plant and you see the thistles on the left-hand side, scrape off those thistles and you'll come to the stem in the middle. Once you get the thistles off, the leaves with the thistles on it, it actually tastes like celery, sweet celery. So it actually tastes better than celery. I remember the first time I tasted it, I'm like, this tastes sweeter than celery. It is a celery-like taste. Yeah, eat it raw. Now, you can also cook it like when you stir fry, or my dad used to put liver. Yeah. My dad used to put celery in our meatloaf. We didn't like it, but, whatever you use celery for, you can use this plant for. And these are the flowers. The best thing is to get the thistle Scrape it off before it comes to flower. It's going to be a little more rougher if it flowers. Yeah. This is periwinkle. You've probably seen this. This is not exactly a wild plant, but it does grow wild. And it's a tasty little plant, and this is also good for brain issues. So some people mix the periwinkle with the ginkgo. And so it's like a combination healer for the brain. This next plant is my favorite plant, and I'm going to let my husband tell you why.
That is garlic mustard. I love garlic mustard. When we first got to the campground, my wife tried to tell me what that plant was for at least a year and a half or two. I could not remember it for the life of me. She'd tell me 5 minutes later, she says, "What's that?" "It's green." She said, "No, it's garlic mustard." I said, okay. Well, I had a hard time trying to remember it until about, I guess, maybe 5, 6, well, 8 years later. I was on patrol, and I all of a sudden felt a heart attack coming on. My left arm and my chest, and I was saying, "Oh boy, this ain't good." So I asked the Lord quickly, if something should happen to me, let my wife find me, my body. And then I thought about it again. Wait a minute, I'm talking to God. Lord, what can I take for this situation? And I looked down, and there you go, garlic mustard. And it was, to me, it was brighter than any other plant. So I grabbed 3 leaves, chewed on it, and I had a heavy sensation to just lay down. And I did. I laid down where I was, and for 15 minutes I just relaxed. I got up, I had strength, and I didn't have no more pain. I left, came back to the house, and told my wife. My wife looked up in the computer and said that garlic mustard has more vitamin C and minerals than most of your domestic greens, or any of the domestic greens. Also, it pulls plaque out the arteries. So if the plaque was building up in the artery, I should have had a heart attack or died or something like that. Because it takes it out, I felt better. Well, about maybe 5, 6 years later, we're somewhere giving doing a workshop, and a lady heard my testimony about the garlic mustard. Well, what I didn't know is that she had a heart arrhythmia, and the doctor said she was going to have to live with that for the rest of her life, that there was nothing to adjust her heartbeat. So she took that plant, she had got it, took it home, and the husband tells us she ate that thing religiously, 1 or 2 plants a day, leaves of the plant. And no, it was in her front yard. As a matter of fact, she put it in front of her house. And as she was on her way out to work, on the porch, she would take two leaves and chew it up and go on about her way to work. About 30 days later, we had another workshop, and she showed up, and she gave her testimony. She says, "I was born with heart arrhythmia. The doctors told me I had to live with the erratic heartbeat." She said she got the plant, she took the leaves, ate it for about 30 days, and it adjusted her heartbeat to a normal heartbeat. This is what she says. And we said, okay, we didn't know it did that too. Dealing with a lot of wild edible plants, it goes beyond what we know. And I must say this. That's the reason why your Indian doctors from India, they come here and they have to sign a paper saying they will not prescribe or tell people about plants that can do the same thing that the medicines are doing. Yes.
So, I read where the Bible says that I'm fully one with the shoe.
Yes.
That's, I guess, during the time of trouble when we was running.
Yes.
So are you anticipating that we will need this just before that happens? That's like the point what you made?
Well, I wouldn't say that, but I will say this. About, I'd say about a year after that testimony, we were taking a group out and we were hiking up the mountain, and a grandfather was with his grandson. He was kind of overweighted, and he really couldn't keep up. So I would stop the group long enough, and I would tell him about different plants. And I told him about the garlic mustard. Here again, I didn't know that much about the garlic mustard. And he looked at it. I guess he memorized it, and we went on. Well, after about 10 minutes of hiking, all of a sudden, this guy is moving to the front of the pack. I mean, he's moving. And I said, whoa, what happened? Let's slow it down. He said, I did what you said. When you told me about the garlic mustard, I would take one, a leaf, every so, and then pack it in his pocket. So he started eating the garlic mustard as we were walking. Within 10 to 20 minutes, all of a sudden he had so much energy, he was ready to move past everybody. And it didn't stop there. I think it was he did one phase with us. He came back about 2 phases later. This man had lost 100 pounds. The stuff was so energetic that a lot of people couldn't keep up with him no more. I didn't know it gave you that much energy. Where's it usually found? All over?
Jack by the hedge, remember?
It's called Jack by the Hedge. Wherever you have trails, you'll find garlic mustard in a lot of locations if they didn't pick it.
Growing along the edges of woods, edges of, if you're in a park, the edges of the park, they always grow along the edge.
Yeah, on the forest and whatnot. And that's
Garlic, really, truly, just like garlic.
Yes. I like it. And that's the second year. The first year is more rounded. The second year comes out more pointed. When it's more pointed and the flowers show up, it's more pungent. So if you want a mild, get it while it's in a
Before
round
it flowers.
stage, before it flowers. Yeah. Or you come and get it when the flowers have come on it. But that particular plant will give you quick energy. Now, you said something about during the time of trouble. Did you know during the time of trouble, those people who are alive and we are moving, do you know we'll be moving faster than most people? Energy-wise. The Lord is going to give us strength.
But yeah, I would agree with her that this was something that we're going to need probably prior to when we're moving, and even possibly during that time. If we know what to look for, we know what we can eat. But even during COVID, when you couldn't plant things, okay, this was something that I utilized. And I kept in mind, even now, for the next time, when seeds are not available, you can't grow a regular garden, you can grow these things. That's why when we do a full seminar, we talk about how to start a wild edible plant medicinal garden, because they're very easy to grow, and they really kind of take care of themselves. Okay, May apple. We got 2 more. May apple. You see how it carpets the ground? This is a plant that has a little fruit on. You see the flower to the left. Now that flower develops into about maybe the size of a lime or something, a small lime.
It grows up underneath the leaf.
Yeah, it grows just like the flower is growing under the leaf. There's a little lime. It's hard to get it if you're not out there often, because the deer love it too. But if you're diligent, you can catch some. They call them apples because they do have a similar apple-like taste. But you see how it grows. It carpets a whole area. That's an early spring plant. Right now, you're not going to see too many of them. You may find a little fruit, though. And I think this is our last one. Yeah. Kudzu. Everybody knows kudzu, right? You know you could eat that? It's got some delicious flowers. I mean, the flowers are delicious, but delicious jelly made out of the flowers. You see that purple? Yeah, the purple flower up there. They make a delicious kudzu jelly that is just out of this world.
That jelly tastes better than any jelly you have ever ate. Fig jelly, grape, whatever you had and made jelly. When you get to that kudzu jelly,
You can order it online. I've seen it online. Just ask for kudzu jelly. It doesn't look, it's not purple colored. It's like almost a golden color. The leaves that you see how kudzu takes over everything. If you get them early enough, you can cook the leaves as a pot herb. So now you know that kudzu has value. More. Exactly, but you don't think God accidentally did that, do you?
you know the cows love it.
And goats
And
too.
the goats love it. And guess what? If you're drinking cow's milk, when they eat that, it comes out green.
It's still, yeah.
But it's healthy for you.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So next time you see a field taken over with kudzu, just keep in mind, I could eat that one day.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's highly nutritional, but they make clothes out of the kudzu plant. They make furniture out of it because the root, the root too, but also the vine. If you ever got an older kudzu vine, you will see how tough it is. In fact, the kudzu plant
Rose.
can actually grow a foot a day. So, yes, it is. So eat it.
That's why that's why they brought it over here.
Yeah.
So it can grow all over your stuff. But another thing is the kudzu is for those who are drinkers and they get hangovers.
Oh, yeah.
You can make the tea and it'll clear them up.
It reverses alcoholism. That's what they use it for in Korea, North Korea. It is a medicinal use to aid alcoholics to overcome drinking. And it helps them recover the morning after. After a person is
But now-
drinking all night, if they take some kudzu tea, it'll help them recover better than coffee.
But now when you take the fruit or the flower and you to smell it, it'll smell like alcohol.
That's the first thing he said to me when I brought a flower home. The first thing he said, he was like, that smells like alcohol. It was real sweet, real sweet smell. And that's probably why the jelly is so sweet, just naturally, but they do add sugar. Okay, the last one is he has made everything beautiful in his time. So basically, he has given us everything we need. We're just showing you the tip of the iceberg, just some of the more common plants that you will see that you can find in your backyard. We're going to take about a 5-minute break before we take our last 30 minutes and share with you some information, some testimonies of how we've used some of these herbs for common diseases as well as emergencies, and how they wonderfully worked just by utilizing them. So we give you about 5 minutes. What time is it? 4?
So we're asking you to move about, don't
Stand
go
up.
too far and come back. Thank you. I'm glad you didn't come with the other people.
The flowers are going to grow up high and under the leaf.